welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast show. It's a fresh start, quite breezy and chilly here in the mother city, hopefully slightly warmer wherever you are, but thanks for joining us nonetheless. Now, while grades 12 and 7 learners are back at school, the rest of South African households are having to do it all from home. Yes, homeschooling is what we're talking about. And this morning, registered counsellor Shanaz Moos joins us to share some tips on how parents can better deal with the role of educator that has suddenly been thrust upon them, and how parents, of course, can better assist their children in learning during this time. Shanaz, always such a pleasure to see you and to tap into your wealth of knowledge. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I feel a bit weird though doing this from my house. Tried to make it screen friendly and all these other things, but okay, in the end I just thought, let people focus on what I'm saying rather than what's behind me.
I love that. We miss you so much. We miss your energy in studio. But I mean, really, how are you, juggling parenthood, working, and then also still being a wife during lockdown? I mean, blink twice if you're not okay.
Okay, did I blink twice? I'm not sure.
No, but you seem like
okay, so how I am.
Yes, how are you?
Yeah, you know what? I had a moment where I thought I was going to lose it. And I had to just, gather myself into myself and figure out the way forward. Because I think that in the beginning, it was a very romantic notion being at home, and then we had to start with the school part. And then our spouse didn't go to work, mine worked from home, and then comes this house full of everyone trying to live their outside lives inside their house at the same time. So that's when we had to upgrade our Wi-Fi as well, because with meetings, my husband's online, and then he would shout, "Get off the Wi-Fi, I'm in a meeting." Then I have an online session with a client, and I'm like, "Get off the Wi-Fi, I'm in a session." So that was the first month or so, and then we upgraded, and then everything was okay. So that was the one big adjustment that we've had to make. But I wonder about everyone else who wasn't as fortunate to have good running internet during the midst of all of this.
Yeah, I think thanks for bringing it home and really making it seem so real, because I think you've just related to us one of the most realist experiences that one might probably encounter in a household. And indeed, many parents have been forced into this new role now of being teacher. Now, if they haven't figured it out already, how can parents best approach this?
So that's where I said things went all wrong, because I was trying to be the teacher, and I'm actually not the teacher, I'm the mother. And the more that I pushed that kind of role and setup, the more frustrated I became, the more unhappy my child came. And we are quite close. We have an awesome bond. So I felt that being tested, shook up. And I said, and he said to me one day, he's now turned 30, and he said, "I can't wait for school to start so you can go back to just being my mommy." And I replied back, "I feel the same way. I miss us," because what it did was it completely transformed the parent-child dynamic. I have teachers in my family, and I'm always amazed at and admire what they do. But I'm honest, I am no teacher. I am no teacher. I'm an awesome mom. I even made a post on social media. I said, when it comes to being a mom, I'm like super amazing. But as a teacher, I suck. That's what I said, because it's the truth.
You have to speak the truth. And I like that you said that, like, when you were unhappy, you almost projected that onto him, because it is difficult. And, a lot of the children, they hate certain subjects. For one, hello, you don't like algebra. How do you then deal with a child who strongly dislikes a particular subject, and it's a struggle for them to do it every single day?
Yeah, so every child has a subject, but it's worse when your child and your subject that you dislike is the same thing. So for us, it was maths. So it was maths particularly, and for me, it was like, actually, I was a bit smart. So I handed it over to my backup, which is my husband, who's actually good at maths. So I actually, because often you'll hear one parent is carrying the burden of the teaching at home, one parent. And you can't work from home, be that one parent, to work with your child, with your schooling, and still cooking, and all those other things were still there. I actually went into military mode, and I said to my soldiers, what are we doing, how are we doing it. We actually made a game plan for how we will clean, cook, do all those things, relax. And that we did early on in lockdown, which is why it only became a bit tiresome towards the 3rd and 4th month of being together.
Yeah, wow, what a challenge it has been. And you can imagine just how many households have had to adjust. And hopefully, like you, they've made a game plan way in the beginning. But how invested should parents be in their child's learning routine or schedule versus how much control and responsibility for self-learning should they give their child?
So already the burden that parents feel and the pressure for their children to excel academically while still being taught at school is high. But they don't hold themselves accountable. It's someone else's responsibility. But they're still highly stressed because there's a huge emphasis on academic achievement, to the detriment sometimes of other things. So for me, here you are now, the one responsible for this high standard and for what your child should learn. And the more expectation you have, the more disappointed, frustrated, and angry you will be. So when it comes to how invested you should be, you should actually just take a step back the way I did. I was getting all the Google Classroom emails. I felt all the pressure academically because it was coming to me. This is due, that's due, you know, do this, do that. And then eventually I said, I'm not reading them anymore. I told my son, you need to read them. And I will step back. I gave him my computer and I said, here's it open, do what you need to do. And that was the best homeschooling experience that I had. And the other thing I want to clarify is that homeschooling is not what we're all doing. We are doing remote learning, distance education, online learning, whatever you want to call it. This is what our kids are doing. Homeschooling is something that parents choose to do, to take responsibility from love, to teach their children in a way that works for the child. So it's not the same. Everyone says homeschooling, and I'm sure all the homeschooling mommies are really in a rage by the abuse of it because everyone's complaining they have to teach their children. So for me, homeschooling and remote learning are two different things. So we're not doing it out of love. We're doing it because we're forced to. And that's where the distance learning, remote learning, whatever you want to use. So yeah, we just need to also watch our terminology.
Sometimes you just have to take a step back and let it all go. But Shanaz, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Again, for all your homeschooling and remote learning advice this morning. I'm glad to see you doing okay. We can't wait to have you back in studio with us. But be safe out there. Be safe out there in the battlefield with all the kids and being a wife and being, you know, a mom and everything. And we got you. We got you, Mama.
Yes.
Are you calling it a battlefield indeed? It's a war zone out there. But listen, do stay tuned to your Feel Good Breakfast show because we'll be getting some tips and insights from specialist high school maths tutor a bit later on. And of course, helping you on along. And we've got a couple of minutes until then, Jamie Lee. And so I thought I'd challenge you because you said you're going to be taking over the algebra duties. Did you say, I think you said algebra. So here's the question. If X is equal to Y, right?
If X is equal to Y?
What's A plus B? Think about that. Think about it. Okay, just think about it. You thinking about it?
I'm thinking
Keep
very
thinking
hard.
about it. Don't stop thinking. You still thinking about it?
Very
Cool.
much.
Just don't stop yet.